Pretty Pink Posh always comes out with an amazing Halloween release, and this year is no different. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in today's video, I'll be sharing the latest Pretty Pink Posh release, which includes stamps, dies, stencils, and embellishments, all celebrating the fun holiday of Halloween. So first, let me just flip through these new supplies really quickly so you can see what is available. First up, there's the candy corn shaker dies. You can see the two stitched dies are for the bottom and the top, and then the unstitched die is what creates the windows. So you'll get 3 different windows. You could do 3 different shaker colors or all the same. This is the ghost holder dies. The little ghost has cut hands so that it can hold a treat or a pumpkin. This is the pumpkin cover plate die. You get a cover plate that cuts out a bunch of pumpkins, and they're all different designs. This is the spider web border dies. Next we have the spooky mug additions dies. This goes along with the winter mug and adds a bunch of Halloween accessories. This is the big Halloween cupcake. Again, tons of accessories to decorate this adorable cupcake. This is the bat shaker dies. Again, it will cut out the stitched outline and then the layer for the shaker. These are the build a monster dies. Lots of options there. This is candy bucket dies. Again, you could make it a shaker or not. This is candy corn border dies. Again, you get the candy corn and the border. This is the stitched ghost dies. Lots of options and little faces as well. Next, we have the stamps and dies. This is the Halloween corners, stamps, and you can get the coordinating dies. This is Batty About You. Some really cute bats. I don't really love bats, but like these are so adorable, and I know bats are so good. They eat up all the mosquitoes. This is the Halloween icons stamps and dies that you can get. This is the upright greetings. These are vertical greetings instead of horizontal. This is the scattered bat stencil. Then we have the layered Halloween wreath stencils. So there's 3 stencils here. You layer them up and they create adorable characters. The layered birch tree stencils could be used for Halloween, or I even think for Christmas. This is the Halloween words stencil. Next we have the embellishments: spooky clay confetti, spooktacular clay confetti, classic Halloween shaker beads, and Halloween magic shaker beads. Now let's use some of these supplies to make some really fun Halloween cards. For this first card, I'm starting with the pumpkin cover plate die. I cut it out in a bunch of colors and in white. I feel like I'll use all these pumpkins eventually. I'll just put them in the back of the die pocket for now. But I have the white one that I cut out, and I'm putting just tape runner behind it. I'm not going to do a shaker this time, so I'm just placing that on top of an A2 piece of white cardstock, and that'll be my guide for where I lay the pumpkins. Next, I'll take one of each of the colors, and I'll use a little bit of liquid glue behind the pumpkin and then just pop it like a puzzle piece into the opening that it fits into. And you can see you just want to make sure that you twist it so that the little stem fits perfectly into the spot. This is like a just basic die cut inlay. But it just is so easy to do, and if you really love playing with color and have some cardstock colors that you love, this is a really fun card to create. So I'm using sort of traditional colors. I have some orange in there at least, and a little bit of green, but I'm using the lighter of those, and a pink and a yellow, just for a Halloween or fall look. I'm using 2 of the upright greetings from the stamp set. It says Halloween greetings, and I love that vertical look in between those pumpkins that are die cut inlaid. For the next card, I'm using the stitched ghost dies. I love all the stitched dies that Pretty Pink Posh has come out with, and these ghosts are absolutely no different. So I have 3 slightly different colors of pink cardstock. I adore pink ghosts. I just think they're the cutest. So I've cut 2 out of each of those colors, and then I'll place faces on each of those ghosts. There's larger faces and smaller faces for the different sizes of ghosts. I put a little tape on there so the face stays in the right place. Next, I'm cutting out all of the ghosts in black, and then I'll just adhere the black behind the pink ghost. This way they have some cute little eyes and mouths that you can see. I love the pink and black together. I think that just looks so cute. So just really easy gluing the top onto the bottom. And now I have these ghosts. They're a little bit thicker too, which is really nice. For the background, I'm using the Scattered Bat stencil. So I have an A2 piece of white cardstock on my 6x6 waffle flower grip mat, and then I've placed the stencil on top. The cardstock will stay stuck to the grip mat, and the stencil on the edges will stay stuck to the grip mat as well, so everything stays in place. I have some Distress Oxide in Lost Shadow, and then a blending brush. And I'll just place a light coverage. I want to be able to see the bats, but not have them be really dark or contrasted so that the ghosts remain the star of the show. Next, I'll take some black foam squares and pop up each of these ghosts. So I have a mixture of all those different pinks. And then I cut that panel down to 4 by 5.25 so I could mat it on some black cardstock. And that just kind of pulls the whole card together with the black in the faces and on the edges. Next, I'll take another piece of black cardstock and stamp and heat emboss one of the sentiments from the Halloween Corners stamp set that says Ghostly Greetings. I thought that was perfect for this one. I'll use some white embossing powder on top and then just melt that with my heat tool. And I love the way that white embossing powder looks on black. If you get some anti-static powder stuck on your black cardstock, some type of cloth will wipe it away. Just wait until the embossing powder is completely cooled so you don't smear it, and it really will help it come right off. I'll then die cut it out. I also die cut a plain piece of black cardstock from the same coordinating die for the Ghostly Greetings, so they would have the same layers as the ghosts themselves. Next, I'll place one of the foam squares that I used for the ghosts right in between them so I can place the sentiment right on top, and the sides will sit on those ghosts and the middle will be popped up exactly as they are. I had so much fun creating this card. This was one of my favorites for sure. Next up, we have that big cupcake die. And this is the Halloween version. So you can see there's a cupcake liner, there's frosting, there's the little cupcake itself that you can cut out. I've cut them out of really traditional Halloween colors here. There's kind of a dribble on top of that frosting that you can add. So this is just fun cutting out all of these little accessories and then putting this cupcake together. You really don't have to do a lot of thinking here, just have some fun decorating the cupcake. So I have green and purple and orange, and they're all those bright kind of Halloween traditional colors. So I'll just place my cupcake all together. I've cut out pretty much all of the accessories. There's a little boo die, which I've cut out of some glitter cardstock. The pumpkins are a layering die with a stem and a pumpkin. The candy corn is also layering, and it all comes in one die. You can see the little green pumpkins there. So I cut them out of orange and then green, and then I just layer them together. This set also has 3 little eyeballs, which I think are so cute. So I cut the eyes out of that lime green and then the centers out of black cardstock, and I just think they look so funny. So I'll pop some of those up. I have some of them just adhered right down to the cupcake. That little bone is so adorable, and the little ghost. There's a worm as well. That one I chose a little lighter bit of purple just to add in another color. And then I have a sentiment once again from those Halloween Corners stamps and dies. I love these sentiments because they have the dies to cut them out, which means I can pop them up or add them in later on top of something if I don't have space. But here again, I've used some white heat embossing powder on top of black cardstock. I forgot to add something behind the ghost's face, so I just added a little bit of gel pen to the eyes and the mouth. This one is sort of a black, but it's got a sparkle to it as well. I'm trying out these gel pens, and I'll let you know what I think as soon as I've used them for a little while. But I also have the white in the same version, and I'm really liking it. It definitely flows very smoothly, and so I like to add lots of little white gel pen details. Look at that little spider web up in the corner, and then the spooky wishes I thought was perfect for this card as well. Next up, I'm starting with the Pretty Pink Posh Stitched Strips dies, and I've cut them out of those same really traditional Halloween colors. I love these as well as the non-traditional colors, and I've created different thickness of strips and I'm just placing them down in color order, but different sizes and different widths in between them, just to make kind of a whimsical striped background. And the black is actually a glitter cardstock as well. I've cut out the ghost holder dies. I cut this ghost out of white cardstock. There's a face that you can cut out as well. There's also a little goodie bag for the ghost, or a little trick-or-treat bag. And there's a little boo die. So this time I cut the boo die out of black glitter cardstock, and I'll put that on top of the little trick-or-treat bag, which is in that lime green. There are a couple of accessories for this as well. There are candies, and it's a layering die. So I've cut the center out of silver mirror cardstock, and then I've cut some out of pink and purple. I'm adding some cheeks to the little ghost with an Olo marker, and this ghost also has those cut hands, so it can actually hold all of these accessories, or one at a time, I guess. It's only got two hands, not like 3 or 4. I placed a couple of foam squares on the bottom of the boo treat bag, and then I will pop it into place in between the hands. I've lifted up the hands so that I can put it right in place. I'll put a little liquid adhesive behind the ghost's face so that I can add a little bit of the black glitter cardstock so you can see those eyes and mouth. And then I'll place some foam squares behind that so I can pop up the ghost right on top of those stripes. I added the stripes so I could use a white ghost this time. There's also little bat dies, and I'll add a couple of those at the top. I'm placing a little liquid glue behind the little candies. And remember, I only put foam squares at the bottom of the treat bag. This way I can slide these candies in between, under the treat bag and under the arms, so that everything looks like they're being held by the ghost. I'm using the Halloween Corners stamp set again. I have 2 stamped sentiments that I've placed, one on top, one on the bottom of the card, and then I'll add in the other bat, and I have a pumpkin on one side of the ghost. I'll add some white gel pen details to that as well, and some to the bag. Just anything that has colorful cardstock I think really looks nice when you add a little bit of white gel pen detail. It really stands out. And I have a third candy that I can place on the other side of the ghost. Again, super fun, lots of die cutting and playing with colorful cardstocks. For the next card, I'll start with the background. I have the Halloween Wreath layering stencils. This time I'm using the non-traditional Halloween colors, so we have pink for the ghosts, and then Squeeze Lemonade Distress Oxide ink for the stars. It's a nice light yellow, and I'm using some Distress Oxide inks and some Waffle Flower blending brushes. Those are the detail shader brushes, and these allow me to get different colors onto a stencil like this where the icons are pretty close together. But because the brushes are smaller, I'm able to add lots of different colors and make a fun, colorful background. This is the candy bucket dies. This is the die you could use to make it into a shaker card. But instead, I'm just going to do a flat bucket. I have the handle here cut out in black cardstock and the bucket itself cut out of a pink glitter cardstock. There are several faces. You can see them around the background that I've created. I'm using that kind of jack-o'-lantern face, but there's also a Frankenstein, a ghost-looking face, and a monster-looking face. So there's lots of options in here. Makes it really easy to create the cutest little faces ever. So I'm using black glitter cardstock to cut out that face. And then I grabbed a previously released die. It was called the Candy Treats die. And it just gives you a whole bunch of layering options to create candies. So for the bucket, I'll place the foam squares once again at the bottom of the bucket. That gives me lots of room at the top to tuck things behind. I've decided to have the lid at an angle so that I can have some treats spilling out of the right-hand side. But I just wanted to see where it was going to be placed so I could see how much candy I should fit in there. And I love that look. It's so much fun. So I also have some candy spilling down the right-hand side and then one or two on the left. And then I have the No Tricks, Just Treats heat embossed in white on black cardstock. For this next card, I'm doing some ink blending. Now I have a piece of Spellbinders cardstock that's kind of like a medium sky sort of blue or ocean blue, and I'm ink blending Blueprint sketch right on top. That's that Distress Oxide ink. I'm using a domed foam blender to get a nice smooth blend. Next, I'll take some Villainous Potion and put that right from the bottom third all the way up to the top. That will give me a really smooth blend between the two. And if you're having trouble getting those lines out, use a dome foam blender and then just swipe back and forth like you see me doing there. That really gets rid of some of those circular lines that you create when you're doing your blending. So I'm using the Pretty Pink Posh new layered birch trees stencil, and I have some different colors of gray that I'm using right on top. Now, these are going to sort of blend in a little bit to the ink below it, but they will be enough on top of the cardstock that you'll be able to see sort of a shadow of the birch tree. Then I used white pigment ink for the little details. Next, I'll take that ghostly greeting sentiment that I love so much and pop it up in the center of the card. I have a couple of ghosts. These are from the Mug Editions dies, and they also have cut hands, so they can hold things too. So these little pumpkins are also from the Mug Editions dies, and I've placed one little pumpkin inside one of the ghost's hands. I had the little fence and a couple more pumpkins and a moon, and then just a little tiny star that I cut out of light purple. This was such a fun card to create because I feel like there's so much going on, but it was so easy to do. Speaking of the Mug Editions dies, let's create a card with that. I started with a background of the layered Argyle stencils. This was a previously released Pretty Pink Posh stencil set, which I absolutely love. You can use it for pretty much any card, just change the color combination. So here I used orange, purple, and green to create my layered Argyle. And then I have all those accessories from the Mug Editions dies. It's the ones that I showed you in the last card, but there are many, many more. So the winter mug itself cuts out, that's also a previously released die set, cuts out the mug, and you can also cut out the drink that goes inside. So the accessories that are new are the little bubbling up of the green, and I've used obviously a Halloween sentiment right on the mug as well. Now everything else will be pretty much with this Mug Editions dies. Once again, I have the little ghost. This time, this ghost is going to be holding a piece of candy. There are plenty of candy options right in this die set, so you don't need the other die set, but I do love having that Candy Treats die because those candies could be used again for lots of different cards. I'll place the little fence behind the mug, and then there are two spiders. They're so cute. So I have one kind of on the handle. I have a little worm that's crawling out from behind the sentiment. I'm just popping up the cut in the mug so that I can place the lollipop, which is kind of like a stirrer stick, right into the mug. And I've placed foam squares at the bottom of the mug so that once again, I can place things inside that mug and have plenty of room to do that. This is then another one where you just have fun cutting out a bunch of things and then decorating them. I did decide to add some of the embellishments just into the drink itself as some little sprinkles or something right in the drink, and then I'll use my white gel pen detail to add some of the details back into the spider. Because it's black, it's hard to see. There is a little face, which is so adorable, and then I use that black glitter pen just to add some texture to those spiders as well. I am always a fan of the Pretty Pink Posh Halloween release, and this year does not disappoint. If you want to check out any of the supplies that I used, I'm actually going to link to the entire release down below in the YouTube description box. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. I hope you'll... Really? Go speed race through the neighborhood? Oy.